for joining us. On this week's episode of Creature Teachers, I'd like to welcome Rick Ross from Creature Teachers in Littleton, and today we're learning all about animals of North America. What do we have?
Well, these are animals that you could actually find in your backyard. I don't think we brought anything today that you would not see in your backyard. And so we're going to try and introduce you to some of these things. When we started doing this program, we didn't know that it was going to be such a success, but it has turned out to be. And I think the reason is that these are animals that you might see, but when you see them, they're jumping across the driveway or running into the woods, or you don't get a chance to really see them up close. So what we do is we'll bring them around and let you see them up close. And the first one we're going to bring today, you might have seen kind of running around in my pocket a little bit here. This is Holly, and Holly is a flying squirrel. So how many people have seen a flying squirrel? Okay, one, two, a few. Okay, well that's good. How many people see gray squirrels? Pretty much everybody. I bet we could go outside right now and find a gray squirrel. Gray squirrels are all over the place. But in many places, and here's something that you probably don't know, in many places there are more flying squirrels than gray squirrels around. And the reason we don't see them?
In the trees.
Yeah, they're in the trees and they're nocturnal. And so we don't see them very often. And one thing that we find with flying squirrels is they tend to bond to one person. But we were very lucky in that she took to me, and she's been a very, very nice flying squirrel to me. Unfortunately, she doesn't like too many other people. And she has a tendency to jump on my wife from my pocket and bite her and then jump back in my pocket again, which my wife doesn't like too much. So she's always looking to make sure that my pocket's not moving when I'm walking around. But you'll see that she is loving this banana. And it's not like she would eat bananas in the wild, obviously. We don't have bananas around here. But flying squirrels are pretty widespread throughout the United States. You're going to find this kind. This is a southern flying squirrel. There are 10 different subspecies of southern flying squirrel.
Really?
But there's only one northern flying squirrel. And if you see one of these, and he looks larger than this, and he's got a little bit different structure to his face, probably a northern flying squirrel, because we find more of those around here than southern flying squirrels. This is why the front row was covering their nose. All right. This is double stuff. And double stuff is a wonderful, wonderful animal. However, we all know that he's a skunk. And now I see people in the second row doing the same thing here. You may smell him. You may go, oh my goodness, he smells like a skunk. He has been descented. That means he cannot spray you. But he still smells like a skunk. And do you know why?
Because he's in the weasel family.
Because he's a skunk. Yeah. And he is. You are correct. He is in the weasel family. That's called the mustelids, and the mustelids all have that smell. If you're familiar with ferrets
yes,
at all,
I used to have ferrets.
Okay, and a lot of people will say, oh, ferrets are stinky animals too.
Not so much.
It just happens to be that they have a bit of a smell to them. And
so soft.
he still smells like a skunk a bit. All right. Double Stuff's been with us for about 6 years now. He's rather large. And what happens with skunks in captivity, they have a tendency to get rather large. I think they become couch potatoes, and they don't get the exercise that they would in the wild. But they're not terribly fast in the first place. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
That's true. And if you were to look at his head, it would remind you very much of a ferret or a mink or a weasel. This is about full grown. He's not going to get, hopefully he's not going to get a whole lot bigger than this. But he is a rather large animal. And what's interesting about skunks is that nothing else in the area looks like them. Now, of course, we're talking about animals that you could find in your backyard. How many of you have seen skunks? Of course. We've pretty much all seen skunks. They're a very common animal. You might even have them living under your shed. They do quite well around human habitation, so you'll see them there. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that they're omnivores. They're going to eat just about anything that they can. Oh, all right.
My goodness.
There we go.
Oh.
Hi, Vinny. What's up, Vin?
He's a woodchuck.
Okay. So, what is Vinny?
Vinny
He
is
looks
a
like a
woodchuck.
beaver. He's cousin to a beaver. As a matter of fact, if you would look at him, you'd see his face. And I'll bet you, if you gave him a little piece of banana, he would love you for the rest of your life.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yet?
There you go, Vin.
Yes.
Okay.
Good boy.
If you look at his face, very much like a beaver. But beavers are much larger. Beavers are the largest North American rodent. And he is a rodent as well. But if we look at his tail, we'll notice it's not that flat tail that he
little
would
nub.
use to swim with, and he doesn't have webs on his feet. He is what's known as, some people would call them gophers, but gophers, anything that goes underground would be a gopher. We call him a groundhog. I'm sure everybody knows him as a groundhog. But not just a groundhog, there's two other names that I know of for these creatures. They might call him a gopher, but what else do you think you would call them? Do you know? There's a name that we call them around here. Yes? Woodchuck. Woodchuck. And as a matter of fact, it's really kind of funny how these guys got that name woodchuck. Of course, we all know that little saying, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? But turns out the word woodchuck has nothing to do with chucking wood. The word woodchuck comes from the Algonquin name for this animal. They were called a wooshock. And so that is where they got the name woodchuck. Now, Vinny here has been with me for 4 years now, and I really happen to like him a lot. He's a great guy. He's a bit lazy, though, and we're going to find out just how lazy he is here in a second. And I think he probably wants a little more banana.
He's like,
Here,
hi.
come on, over here. All right. Piece of banana? Boom. There you go.
Where's
Here.
your belly?
Here.
Oh.
All righty.
Oh.
Get a banana, and he'll hang out just like that. Okay.
Oh, did you wee feetsies?
Now, the other thing you might notice with him is he has never learned to chew with his mouth closed.
No.
So he does make a mess with a banana. And I know you're probably going, banana? Really? Why banana? He wouldn't eat bananas in the wild. Well, like I said before,
They're delicious.
everything seems to like bananas.
Well, that's all the time that we have for this segment of Creature Teachers. My name is Tolly, and I'd like to thank Rick Roth of Creature Teachers in Littleton, and we will see you next time.